What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Wednesday night real estate recap where we talk about everything to do with the housing market and some other stuff. We got a great stream for you tonight. I'm super excited. We're going to go over this article with all these expert predictions on what's going to happen in the housing market in 2025. And I have a fantastic guest, one of my favorite people in the world. Her name is Jackie Baker. You might know her. And I'm going to bring her on now. So let's bring Jackie on. Why, hello, Miss Jackie.
Hey, what's going on, Caryn? How are you?
I'm so happy you're here. We're finally doing it.
I know. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for asking me to come on. It's about time.
I know. Well, I came on yours and, I get very
Yeah,
nervous. So you made
I
it
know.
really easy. And so I'm so happy you're here. And we're going to talk about what these people think is going to happen in the housing market next year. So we got a lot
Yeah.
to look at. So let
Yeah.
me put my glasses on because I can't see without them.
Oh, that helps.
I know. I keep trying and it just doesn't work. All right.
Uh,
Here we go. Okay, so this was written, this was for bankrate.com. So
mhm.
what will happen to the housing market in 2025? A year after rising just above 8% in October of 2023, the average 30-year mortgage rate sat at 6.78% as of October 23rd, 2024. An improvement, to be sure, but not the big dip many were hoping for. Many experts do foresee mortgage rates decreasing slowly over the next year, though. I'm not sure about that, but we'll see. I continue. Lower interest rates will unleash some of the pent-up demand for housing in 2025, says Bernard Markstein, president and chief economist for Markstein Advisors. This will help keep mortgage rates above their ultra-low rate of just a few years ago, but rates will be lower than current levels. Housing inventories have also been improving of late, with a 4.3-month supply at the end of September 2024, according to existing home data from the National Association of Realtors. While that is still below the 5 to 6 months typically needed for a balanced market, it's still a significant improvement from the 2.9-month supply seen back in February. And there's growing optimism among home builders, too, with lower interest rates granting more potential access to capital. On top of typical housing concerns, there's also the question of how a new presidential administration could impact housing. The wild card for the outlook remains the election, said Carl Harris, chairman of the National Association of Home Builders, in a recent statement. With housing policy a top-tier issue for candidates, policymakers should be focused on supply-side solutions to the housing crisis. And then the article goes on and they break it down to home sales, housing inventory, home prices, and then will it be a buyer or seller's market? So we'll get to each of them in a minute. But first, I want to know what your thoughts are on mortgage rates. And do you think they're going to go down? I know you and I don't have a crystal ball, but we work with a lot of mortgage lenders. Like, what are you hearing?
So I'm hearing they're going to remain around the 6% range going into 25 and potentially, oh, there goes my phone. They could go down. We'll probably see them go into 5% range probably this time next year, like the end of 2025. That's what I'm hearing. And it's funny that we're talking about this because I just did research for my next video that I'm going to be posting next week. And it's amazing how, like, if you look at the history in previous elections, right? They say elections really haven't had that much of an impact on the housing market, but this one in particular, it's having an impact. So right now, yeah, things are really slow because there's so much uncertainty and people are too nervous. And the going into 25, though, I think once we're past next week, it's definitely it's gonna kick off again. And I think the market's gonna go bonkers. Honestly, I think buyers are just gonna come out of the woodwork and it's gonna be insanity again. That's what I think.
So
So
I'm here in DC, right? So I work
yeah.
in DC and right outside of DC in Maryland and Virginia. And we obviously experience elections all the time, like everybody else, but everybody's here. So it's kind of like you can feel it in the energy. I mean, it gets really
Uh-huh.
like hyper tense around here.
Yep.
But I've been doing this for 22 years. And I can tell you in 22 years, it's a lot of elections. They didn't really make a difference. They
Right.
come, they go, like
Yep.
nothing really changed. This year, it feels different.
Oh, it is. It's a million percent. It does feel different. And I said this beginning of this year too. I felt like this market was we were definitely going to be we were going to feel a change in this fall right now, and it's happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So word on the street with my brokerage when we talk about this stuff, because we're all, a lot of us are veterans, and we're like, oh, a couple months ago, we're like, it doesn't matter. It's just another election. But all of a sudden we're all slowing down, and like everybody's kind of like frozen. And the
Yep.
two candidates do have very different opinions about what they're going to do to help fix the housing market, especially fix
Mhm.
the affordability of the housing market.
Right.
And I'm not going to get into that because we're not going to talk about politics, but they
No.
are very different. And really, the word on the street here is we don't know who's going to win.
No.
Like, we really don't know. Like, usually we're like, yeah, I think this. But this year, like everyone I talk to, and I around this like you 24/7, like we really don't know. And depending on who wins could make a real difference in the future of the housing market if they do
Yeah.
what they say they're going to do.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. Yeah, no, I agree. It's like we don't know where this is going to end up, and that's the that's the big reason why the market's sitting where it is right now. It's just plain and simple. Like no, it's just too uncertain. People are nervous. People are
Yeah.
really nervous. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So I think Jimmy says election this year is different. Yeah, that's what we're saying. I mean,
yeah, I agree. I totally agree with Jimmy there for sure.
and also what people are saying, my broker, just they agree with what you're saying is like, because we don't really know if the election is going to be decided next week. A lot of us
Mm-hmm.
think that it won't be, and it may take a little bit. I mean, we
Yep.
never know, obviously, but we'll see. But a
Yep.
lot of us feel like it may not be decided next Tuesday. So we'll see. But a lot of
Yeah.
us feel that next year, not necessarily end of this year, but like going into next year, the next spring market, people are going to go nuts. It's going to be crazy, just like what you said. That's what we're all kind of saying around here. Like, everyone get ready.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm getting ready. I mean, I'm like my business is been on the slower end this year, but I am gearing up because I just know it's coming. It's just, and I get people reaching out to me on my channel looking for agent referrals. In the past like couple of weeks, I've had so many reach outs and people are
Okay.
gearing up. They're all saying, they're looking to buy next spring, next summer. So they want to gear up now and start getting their ducks in a row, talking to agents, talking to lenders, getting everything ready so they're ready to buy. So, yeah, that indication right there, that's telling me like, yeah, it's gonna blow up.
So they
I
don't, the
think that
people
way.
that you're talking to, they don't seem to be worried about interest rates. It's not like top of mind.
It is top of mind. Yeah, they are concerned. Some of them, they're asking me, "What do you think about rates?" I'm like, "I can't tell you that, but I can tell you they'll probably be at this point around in the 6% range." But talk to a lender. I refer them to lenders to have them, pick
Right.
their brains. But yeah, they're concerned. But Karen, people need to move. People want to buy a house. People need to they need to upgrade, downsize. Life events happen, and they need a house.
I
So
know, but I'm
yeah.
more worried, not necessarily the buyers accepting the interest rates, because they will, they always do. And they know that, rates go up and down depending on, the day of the week. And so I think that's okay. I'm more worried about the inventory, because there's a lot of
Mhm.
sellers like me who just became an empty nester a couple months ago. And I always thought the minute my, youngest is off to college, I'm selling the house. I'm moving
Yeah,
into the city, or, just something other than living in the suburbs. I
yeah,
refinanced in 2021. I'm not giving up my 2.625 interest rate to
yep.
go buy something with a 6.5%. I mean, so
You
if
see?
I'm like that, I know a lot of other people like me are. So therefore, inventory is going to stay constricted.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, million percent it will, but and I was like, again, part of my research for my next video was talking about this inventory issue, and I know it'll be mentioned in this article. But that's the problem, like, they're talking about, the policymakers, the people in Washington are like, "Oh, we gotta make housing affordable," but it's like, we need inventory. We have to build more homes. We can't be relying on the existing homes because, like in your situation, people aren't gonna give up those rates.
right.
So, come up with a better solution to make it easier for these builders to build the homes. Did you know it cost builders regulations alone, these builders are paying $94,000 just on the regulation stuff with their permits and things like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. And something has to be done with that. They have to ease up on these regulations to make it easier. There's so much land out there where residential homes can be built on. It has to be done. That's
And
the
they're all
only way to solve it. That's the only way to solve it,
yeah.
unless we have a big recession, an economic crash, and then, we do a reset, and then, you don't want to see foreclosures happen, but I think that would, that's the other. It's either you build houses or we blow up the economy. Like I don't know what else to do, because interest rates are not the answer to make homes affordable. So
Interest
that's
rates aren't the answer to make homes affordable, but they are the answer to get more inventory. Because if interest rates got a little bit closer to like 5, or maybe they were like under 5
yeah.
for years before the pandemic, then I think a lot of us like me that are like locked in at these super low interest rates would sell. But we might
Yeah,
become buyers too. So it may not help, but it would definitely create more existing home sale inventory. But
correct. Yeah.
let's see what they say. Let me get back to our article. Let's see what they say about inventory, because now I'm actually curious. Also with builders, I know that a lot of them are still having supply issues, and they're also having trouble finding workers. A lot of builders I speak to are still having a lot of delays in their supply issues. Okay, will home sales decline? The volume of homes sold has fallen off in 2024, with the most recent existing home sales numbers sliding both month over month and year over year, according to NAR. Many buyers are staying on the sidelines, anticipating lower mortgage rates to come in 2025 and hoping for prices to moderate. Am I saying that funny? Home sales, aren't I? Home
Mod-
prices to moderate. Why
to
am I doing
moderate. Yeah.
moderate? I'm like stuck in the word. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I say words wrong. My dad does it too. It's
Really?
really, yeah. Sometimes my videos, I'll say something, and then like one of the comments will be like, "You don't say it that way. You say it this way." And I'm like, I don't mean to. It's like
Yeah.
my
It's
brain sometimes like
yeah.
doesn't read it right. I'm not dyslexic, but something happens sometimes with certain words. Anyway, I'll continue. Home
Okay.
sales have been essentially stuck at around a 4 million unit pace for the past 12 months, but factors usually associated with higher home sales are developing, NAR chief economist Lawrence Yun said in an October statement. There are more inventory choices for consumers, lower mortgage rates than a year ago, and continued job additions to the economy. I think he's very optimistic. In fact,
He's always optimistic,
he is.
to be honest with you. He's
He
the
is.
most optimistic guy.
I know, but sometimes it's not warranted. Okay. In fact,
Yeah.
CoreLogic, a real estate data firm, predicts total home sales will increase by 9% in 2025 compared to 2024, according to chief economist Selma Hepp. In addition to lower mortgage rates helping drive home sale activity next year, she says, greater availability of homes for sale will help home buyers' choices and improve affordability, as it reduces the probability of bidding wars and escalating home price appreciation. But she doesn't say where that inventory is coming from.
Mm, right.
The lower rates go, the more likely will be to see homeowners locked into lower rates finally feel comfortable about selling their okay. So that's what we're saying. The lower rates go, the more likely will be to see homeowners locked into lower rates finally feel comfortable about selling their current home to buy a new one. Roughly 70% of mortgage debt is currently below a 5% interest rate, said Nina Gidwani, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, head of refinance and home equity at Chase Home Lending. If rates continue to decline, we'll likely see the lock-in effect soften, and consumers will be more willing to purchase a home and take on a higher rate than they currently have. Okay, so that's exactly what we just spoke about. Let me just keep going, because he's going to talk about, will housing inventory increase? Inventory has been rising, albeit slowly, but if it is to grow meaningfully in 2025, don't expect it to come from existing homes, says Greg
See?
McBride, right? CFA Bankrate's chief financial analyst. Mortgage rates won't fall enough in 2025 to spur an increase in existing home inventory, with most of the increase in inventory seen in the market coming from new construction. By the way, I didn't read this beforehand, so it's nice to see that they agree with us.
See?
The
Oh my God.
NAHB regularly surveys builders for its monthly housing market index, The HMI data released in October found that more than half of builders surveyed had a positive outlook for new home sales in the next 6 months. While housing affordability remains low, builders are feeling more optimistic about 2025 market conditions, said Harris. I don't know, Jackie.
Yeah. Well, that like I said, they need to have more homes built. It's not going to be enough to get these. That's not saying the interest rates aren't going to solve it because it's not going to be. It's just not going to be enough to meet the demand. So yeah, I agree. I mean, if you get into the 5 range, which I've said that a million times, if you're getting out to the 5% range, for sure, you can, um, yeah, it's easier for people like you with the 2.5% interest rate. It's easier to stomach a 5% rate versus 7 or 8. So they're willing to move. Plus, you got to think about all the equity you're pulling out of your house, and you're putting more money down on the next house, so you'd be less to finance. But yeah, it's they need to it comes down to building homes. That's how I see this now.
And it's
And
not
until
it's not
that
only about
happens.
yeah, it's not only about just, like, accepting a higher interest rate. I couldn't afford to buy my house today. I
No,
mean, prices
yeah.
have gone up and interest rates. So it's not only like, "Oh, wow, I have under 3%. I'm not moving until it's at 5." It's like, I literally couldn't afford to buy my own house today, and so why
Mhm.
would I sell my home, which like you said, I've been here for 19 years, so I have a lot of equity in. Everything is, I know the house, I know where I live, I know everything
Mhm.
works, and my interest rate is so nice to then go buy something that's going to be so much more expensive for a similar like home, just in a different area.
Mhm.
It doesn't make sense,
Right.
but it's so frustrating because we really wanted to, make a move to either like the city or the beach or like just something different than the suburbs. And
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening anytime soon. And like you said,
Yeah.
apart from like another pandemic or a recession or something drastic happening, there's really not a way out of our affordability crisis when it comes to housing without more inventory, and there's
Right.
really without no more inventory without builders building more. And
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
just yeah, I just don't know. I mean, we have some new construction happening here where I am in Potomac, but
Okay.
they're so expensive. I mean, there are
Oh.
townhomes starting at like 1.5 million.
Oh, same
Like,
in Jersey. Yeah, we
yeah.
talked about that the other night. Yeah, I'm like, who's buying that? Who's buying that? Like, I just it blows my mind. And I don't know about down in Maryland, but here in Jersey, there's a lot of luxury apartment buildings being built up here, especially up here in North Jersey. And rents are like between 3 to 5,000, 7,000 a month. Like, who the heck are they building this for? And but people are paying it. It just I'm speechless. I'm speechless. Like, I don't know how people can afford it, but,
How
you
long
know,
have you been
it's
in your house where you live now?
I've been in my house now for 12 years, and,
Okay.
yeah, if I was to buy my house now, I couldn't afford my house now either. I agree with you. It's gone up substantially in the 12 years, and, yeah, that's great, but same thing, let's say when we go to sell, though, I mean, I'm getting out of Jersey. There's no question. Like, I just can't pay these taxes anymore, and there's no
Are you gonna go
reason.
to
I mean,
Delaware? Tell me you're gonna go to Delaware.
yeah, 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 we
That's where
are.
I wanna go.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Yay!
I'll
We could
meet
be
you at the beach.
neighbors.
Yeah.
I'll meet you at the beach. Awesome. But yeah, Delaware, it's awesome. I mean, the taxes, we have a vacation home down there now. I mean, I have a 4-bedroom condo in Delaware. My taxes are like 900 a year
My god,
on
that's
a
awesome.
4-bedroom, 3-bath condo. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Yeah, it's the tax, you can't beat the property taxes in Delaware. The thing is, I love Delaware, but they're building so much, and it concerns me a little bit because, like, the infrastructure is not there yet, and it's like I just hope they can catch up that infrastructure with all the new builds. I just wish they'd slow the pace down a little bit because I just feel like it's getting a little crowded right now.
Also, I don't
So
know if how close you are to the water, but, like, all of
yeah,
these these hurricanes and tornadoes that are happening in the South, they're,
Mhm.
as north as North Carolina, it just gives me a little bit of concern. Like, are they going to keep coming? Like, is Delaware going to be impacted? Is flood insurance going to be expensive? Like all that
Mhm.
stuff, like creeps into my mind when I start to think about Rehoboth, which I love. I know you like Bethany.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so if you look back now we have really close friends that live in Bethany Beach, and they don't get hit by hurricanes too badly, where New Jersey, like,
Yeah.
years ago, we would get hit when those hurricanes would come hit Florida, South Carolina, the Carolinas. We're we're right there, that it comes right for us, right to it hits our shorelines, but it's a tropical storm by the time it hits Jersey, but still, it's pretty bad. Where for some reason, Delaware's a little it's weird. It's like it's not a direct hit. They'll get the rains and winds and
Yeah.
stuff, not as bad as the Jersey coast will get hit. So, it's a little bit better.
At least not yet. So
Well,
Jimmy
not
says
yet, right. I mean, you don't
yeah,
know. I mean, things could change, right? But look, let's face it, Karen, all of our insurance rates are gonna be going up,
I know.
with all these storms. Everybody in the country is gonna be impacted by all those hurricanes. Our insurance is gonna continue to
I
skyrocket.
know.
There's
I
no
just
way
feel
around that.
I feel so bad for people that really, lost their homes. Like I
Yeah.
have a really good friend whose sister lives in Asheville, and it's like they still don't have potable water. Still,
Ugh.
right? Like now, they can take a shower, but the water's not potable. I mean, it's just brutal. Slimming Jimmy says, "Who are these people paying these rents? You mean on the high rents buildings?" Well, they're rich people.
They're rich people.
The people
Yeah.
that have a lot of money.
They have a lot of money. They got more money than I do. So, I don't know. I that's what I'd like to know, who's paying these. I don't get
My
it.
only hope is like, but then again, it doesn't really make sense that if, at least where I am, all this new construction, there's a lot of it going up with these high-end luxury townhomes, that the people that buy them are going to be leaving their homes, but they're also probably going to be luxury homes. So it will open up some inventory, existing home inventory, but not necessarily affordable, you know?
Mhm. Right. Yeah. I don't know. Uh,
I can't read. I got to put my glasses on. Okay. Bring back the COVID prices. Although I was
Ye
paying $1,500 in Boston in 2019, same apartment now is 2,400.
Ugh. Yep. I'm sorry. Pre-COVID, it's gone. You'll never see that again. That
It,
it's yeah.
it's
It
wild. I
it's
mean,
done. It's done. You can't do it. We can't yeah, you'll never see that again. Sorry.
I know. So
Sorry.
where do we go from here? Let's see what Bankrate thinks about home prices.
Yeah.
Let me get back to this because so far they haven't really told us anything new, right?
I feel like
Like,
all these articles are the same, it's like, it's okay, yeah,
I got really
inventory's
excited,
low,
like something different, especially because
prices
like
are
the
high.
headline. All right, well,
Yeah.
home prices go down. The median sale price for an existing home in the U.S. hit a record high, $426,900 in June of 2024, according to NAR. While it has since dipped slightly, it remains higher than last year. These rising prices are likely to continue, oh well, in 2025,
Mm,
but at a slower pace. CoreLogic predicts that home price appreciation will slow to an average growth of 2% for 2025 as compared to 4.5% growth in 2024, according to HEP. Markets with greater inventory are the ones most likely to see home prices drop, HEP adds, while popular regions with less new inventory, particularly in the West and Northeast, will continue to see steady price increases. The
mhm,
top markets for price increases in the next year include Miami, Boston, and Denver, CoreLogic forecasts. That's so random. Markets that
yeah.
it yeah, right, that it predicts will be most susceptible to price decreases include Atlanta and Salt Lake City.
Hmm,
Huh. McBride,
interesting, I'm
right?
surprised about Atlanta.
M
Yeah.
Yeah, McBride agrees that while overall prices are not likely to go down in 2025, they won't rise quite as much. Home appreciation will be particularly tepid, with many markets seeing little or no change in prices. So they're saying that home prices mind you, we both know that real estate is very localized, and what's happening where we are on the East Coast is very different than in the Midwest, in the South,
Right.
even like in my small state of Maryland, where I am compared to other parts of Maryland. It's very, very localized. I believe now more than ever, That being said, when they do these data collection of what's happening across the country to come up with price increases will be in Miami, Boston, and Denver, and the price decreases will be in Atlanta and Salt Lake City. It just seems so random. They're all over the place.
It is so random that I'm trying to understand the logic behind that. Why do they think? Because Florida as a whole has been struggling. The markets have softened a lot there.
It has.
So
Miami is the little exception. I did my last video on Florida, so I just did all this research on it, and I had Paul on the live stream last week. We were talking about Miami because there's so much money in Miami. I think it's a little bit of an exception to the rest of Florida, but I didn't
okay.
think it would be 1 out of 3 locations picked for the top markets for price
Yeah.
increases.
Yeah. That's surprising. That really is surprising. Yeah,
And what about
wasn't
poor
expecting that.
Atlanta and Salt Lake City? Salt Lake City, I feel like, how do you have Denver being price increase and Salt Lake City being the most susceptible to a price decrease? Both Midwest, both like, ski town states,
Yeah.
Utah and Colorado, like they don't seem that different to me. And I don't know. I've been to both places,
The
but I don't know them incredibly well. Do you?
the only Um, the only thing I can think of is that maybe it's what like Salt Lake City is one of those places where everybody moved during the pandemic, and now people are going back to where they were, and they're going back to the office, and there's no more remote work. Um, Atlanta could be the same thing. I'm sure Atlanta, I mean, Clark the realtor, he's always on my streams. He serves Atlanta, Cobb County, and the suburbs, and he said it is slowing down a little bit, but it was like gangbusters during the pandemic. So it could be just that people are just going back to where they were, and maybe that's why. Yeah, same thing with Austin, Texas,
Right.
right? So Austin has the same thing. It was overinflated, and now people are leaving. And some tech companies moved there, and now there's some layoffs, and people can't afford the homes, and they're moving out. So could
I
be a
would
similar
think of Atlanta
situation.
as a much more like congested city, similar to a DC. I mean, I know I could be wrong, but during the pandemic, I feel like people moved out of the cities. I feel like Austin, although it's a city, it's like a little more spread out. I could be making
Yeah.
all this up, by the way, but this is what in my mind. The way I see these places, like I'm just surprised, that I might have to dig a
Yeah.
little deeper into that.
Yeah, I'm curious, but that's my initial thought is that's because people flock there, and now they're all leaving.
And their prices went up so much, and now it's gonna
They're
like,
overinflated. Like Boise, Idaho. Boise
mhm.
was went crazy.
I
And
know.
that's another market that's come down a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. I was not expecting that. And Boston and Denver too. Boston, I can see that. I could see Boston, Massachusetts up there. It's still crazy.
Yeah.
It's almost like Jersey. It's almost as bad as here. So,
How much have your
um,
prices gone up in general where you are? Would you
oh,
say over the
good
last 4
God.
years? Do you have any idea?
I
Around
would
here.
say I'd say like 10, like if you want to average it out. I mean, the first year of the pandemic, we saw price increases across statewide. I think it was like 16%. No, it was more than that. Maybe it was over 20%. So right now, as of September, I was just looking at our stats the other day. Prices rose another like 6.5% year over year.
Wow, that's
So
pretty good. I mean, that's a lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. Oh my God. It's not stopping. It's
I think
like,
since like 2020 around here in general, prices have gone up about 34%,
yep.
you
Yep.
know?
That sounds about right up here too. I would say it's around there, but the past few years we're seeing like anywhere 10%, like this 6.5%, this is actually the lowest increase I've seen in a while.
Wow.
But most part it's 10% higher. It's just like, oh my God. And it's all people see, we have the New York City influx, right? As soon
Right.
as the pandemic happened, everybody was coming out here. They wanted to get out of their apartments, get out of the city, and buy a house with a pool. Like if you
Yeah.
had a pool, your house was gonna sell for a lot of money. But now now it's not the pandemic, now it's a crime in New York City. That's why everyone's looking to come out to Jersey. So, that's why
So
it's
we're
still
very similar then, because I've got DC in my backyard, which by the way, I
yeah.
love DC.
Yeah,
No shade to
DC's great.
DC. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
DC, but right now, unfortunately, crime is bad. I mean, it's really, really
Yeah.
bad. And
Ugh.
same thing that happened with us, like during the pandemic, everyone got out of the city because they didn't want to be in elevators with other people. They didn't want to be in
Mhm.
close quarters. They came out to where I am in Montgomery County, Maryland, or to Northern Virginia. Like you said, a house with, outdoor space, a pool,
Yep.
a deck, anything outdoor,
Yep.
everything went crazy. And now
Yep.
I think slowly people are, wanting to be into a little more urban settings, not necessarily back into DC, unfortunately, but like Bethesda or, downtown Bethesda, like where I am in Montgomery County, a little more urban than just like the wide open spaces with big yards and pools.
Yep.
I just DC has gotten, like, unfortunately it's gotten pretty bad again. It was really
Yeah.
doing well for a while. And I grew up between the two. My dad lives in Georgetown and my mom lives in Maryland. So
Mhm.
grew up between DC and Maryland my whole life. And I love the city, but it's scary right now. And
It's a
unfortunately,
shame. It's the
yeah,
same thing, like, I love going into New York. I mean, that was our we went in a lot, and now, mm, yeah, I don't like going in. I really don't.
I love New
It's
York City. I
yeah, it's
I
fun.
do. I lived there many, many years ago for 4
R
years. And
really?
I did. Yeah. After I
Oh,
graduated from college, I moved to France for 5.5 years.
oh,
Random
wow.
sidebar. Yeah. And
Nice.
then listen, I bought a one-way ticket and went. Nobody helped me out, but I just wanted to live in Paris, and so I went.
Ver good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you.
And then
That's
from
awesome.
Thank you. And then from Paris, I moved to New York City, and I lived there for 4 years,
Mhm.
before I went out west to California. I
Oh,
was
look
gone for
at you.
22 years before I came back to Maryland, but now I've been back. I'm
Wow.
very, very old, Jackie. Now I've been back for 54 years, and
Oh, stop.
I just turned 86, and I look great. Okay, let me
That's great.
go back to this, and let's see what else. So far, I'm not, except for that little sidebar of Atlanta and Denver, I haven't learned anything new. Okay, will 2025 be a buyer or seller's market? While the housing market improved for buyers over the course of 2024, did it really? Not really. It
No.
remains tight enough that 2025 is likely to remain a seller's market in most areas. The good news
Uh,
is that inventories and demand appear to be coming more into balance, but many regions remain significantly undersupplied, making it difficult to experience a buyer's market, says more CoreLogic. According to most areas will still lean toward a seller market. Okay. According to McBride, most areas will still lean towards a seller's market due to limited inventory. However, those markets that have seen a surge in inventory will definitely be more of a buyer's market and will be susceptible to price declines.
right.
Bottom line, the continued combination of high mortgage rates, steep home prices, and insufficient inventory levels points to 2025 being another tough year for buyers and sellers. This is so sad. On the plus side,
Come on.
rates have cooled a bit. Yay. And if that continues through 2025, as some experts predict, then market activity should heat up in response. The complexities of the current conditions mean that now more than ever, it's smart to lean on the guidance of an experienced local real estate agent. I did not write this, people. If you want to enter into the housing market in 2025, whether it's a buyer or a seller, let a pro lead the way for you.
All right.
Oy.
Yeah, so more of the same, Karen. Basically, it's yeah, more of the same stuff.
I mean, okay.
I know. It's
Namaste. Let's talk about this. So it was worse. Mortgage rates were up to around 8%,
mhm.
right?
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but when I'm pricing a home right now, I'm not thinking 2021 prices. Not that I ever really
No.
price them that way. I let the buyers escalate it. But I am looking at a softer market, and some homes are sitting for a lot longer, depending on the
Mhm.
condition and how they're priced.
Right.
So I do think that, I'm writing offers and seeing for my sellers offers that are coming in with inspection contingencies, which we didn't have for a while around here. with loan contingencies, which we didn't have for a while around here. So I do think that although it's still not more affordable, it's getting a little bit more balanced in the sense that buyers are able to actually really vet a house, not in all circumstances, but in some. Whereas for a couple years there, they just had to like throw their money at a house and hope to get it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see I don't see as many people waiving inspections, waiving appraisals is still a little bit of an issue. Some sellers are still asking for appraisal gap coverage.
Mhm.
But it's definitely calmed down. I feel like buyers I have a little bit more say, a little bit more, I'm gonna say control, but a little more leverage, because they can now call the shots a little bit, because, I from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing from my clients especially, like, they're fed up. They're fed up with the bidding wars and paying, tens of thousands of dollars over asking price, waiving the inspection. They're getting smart about it. They're not throwing any amount of money at the house.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
yeah.
And I also think that like they won't buy into greedy sellers. I mean, they won't. Like if the
No.
house shows its value, if it shows
Yeah.
well and it's priced right and it really shows its value, we're still seeing multiple offers here and we're still seeing bidding
Yeah.
wars. I
Yeah.
mean,
Same here. Yep.
okay, yeah. So we're still seeing
Yeah,
it where
for sure.
everything's waived and the whole thing. But
Yep.
it's definitely house by house. We had two houses in the same neighborhood here in Potomac, Maryland, same neighborhood. One had 4 bedrooms and one had 3, but the 3-bedroom had a nicer kitchen, was more updated, and had a 2-car garage attached, where the other one had a 1-car garage. So they
Okay.
both had pluses or minuses. The one with the 4 bedrooms was priced at, I think, like 825, and the one with the 3 bedrooms was priced at 895 or 845 and 895. There's a $50,000 gap, right?
Wow.
The one with the 4 bedrooms that was priced lower, multiple offers, 5 offers, went way over asking, sold right
Yep.
away. The one with the 3 bedrooms that was priced higher, still sitting there.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
And this is about 3 weeks later.
I'm not surprised. Yeah. Well, because it's a 3-bedroom, right? So people are they're gonna look at that 4-bedroom and they're gonna compare that. So, yeah,
Right. But I said
it's
to
a
the agent, I'm like, "Well, why don't you guys just reduce your price? Clearly you're over." And he's like, "No, no, we don't think we are." And there's nothing in the neighborhood. He's like, "There's no inventory. We have a better kitchen. We have a 2-car garage." And I'm like, "I hear you, but the buyers are telling you in the 3 weeks you've been on the market that you're overpriced."
exactly. And that's the key thing, 2 to 3 weeks is that's the biggest indicator right there. If you don't have offers in those first 2 to 3 weeks, it's all about your price.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
I gotta tell you, feedback is so important. I had somebody reach out to me last night. They were trying to sell their place in North Carolina, and they were like, they don't understand why it didn't sell. They had price reductions and what have you. And I said to them, first of all, what was the feedback? They had 6 showings. What was the feedback? And they sent me screenshots of the feedback. Everybody liked it. One person said that they thought the price was right, but the rest of them didn't even comment on the price. So that tells
Mhm.
me right there, it's like you were priced too high. And
Yeah,
when you let it sit on the market too long, you've seen this, I've seen it a million times, like it just people start to wonder then what's wrong with the house,
yeah.
right? They don't think right away, oh, it's overpriced. Big buyers are just like, what's wrong? Well, like, is there a problem with it?
Yeah, because
That's
we've had 4 years of craziness, and
I
so,
know.
all
Yep.
the people that are still, in the market or have been in the market for the last couple of years have been experiencing this or hearing about that. So when something sits, the automatic default is what's wrong with the house? And
Yeah.
then the sellers start chasing the market by doing the price reductions,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
if they would just price it right to begin with, they wouldn't have to
Yep.
chase it, and ultimately they'll end up with less money.
Yeah.
It's definitely such a mixed market. And even like I said, where I am, and it's probably the same where you are, real estate is so localized, it's
Mhm.
literally house by house. So when
Yep.
somebody is coming into the area and they want to know, well, okay, is it a buyer's market, a seller? And I have to tell them what I'm telling you guys, anybody who's watching in the replay, right now, it's like it's literally house by house. And I feel like it's that way everywhere in the country, except
Mhm.
for certain pockets, like you said, that were so overinflated during the
Yeah.
pandemic in 2021 that now are coming down because, quite honestly, those local salaries can't put up with the prices, so they have to come down. Like
Right.
they don't work together. Um,
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
all right, we have a question for both of us, which Jackie and Karen, do HOAs affect home sales? I know it's not on topic, but man, I see a home without an HOA, it's much more attractive.
Yeah, they do. They
Yeah, I
I
think
this is
yeah.
HOAs definitely affect the home sale. And here's why. Because even for ourselves, like, we're looking to buy our retirement home, you gotta look at what the fees are, and you gotta understand those fees are gonna increase, and it's not something you can write off like your taxes. And I think it does deter people. Like, people don't wanna live with the restrictions. They don't wanna have the rising fees on a yearly basis. Like, we owned an investment property in Millsboro, Delaware, and I would say when we first bought it, HOAs were like 125 a month. It was great. Beautiful
Yeah.
pool, clubhouse, all the things. PS, a year later, it already jumped to 175.
1
So
year later,
in
wow.
1 year, in 1 year. So, you gotta be careful, and I so believe this, that people more and more now, people are getting turned off by the HOAs. They don't want HOAs 'cause and look, I'm not knocking all
Right.
HOAs. There are some that are great, that are financially sound, and, they do all the right things. But when you have these situations like you have in Florida with the assessments, with the insurance, the rising in homeowners insurance, that's going to impact your HOA fees, and people don't want to have to stress about that. Think about it: when you're in retirement, people are on a strict budget, and if that fee increases, that's going to be it's going to be challenging for people.
Yeah,
So
I don't like anything that never goes away.
yeah,
I like to know that there's
yeah,
hope. Not that
right,
it'll ever will pay my mortgage off, but I like to know that there's hope. Like with
hmm
HOA fees or like they never go away. And
never
if
going away.
anything,
Yep,
they get more expensive. That being
yeah,
said, I do know certain people that like that security of knowing that if they live within an HOA, that things are done a certain way, that things are looked after a certain way. I do have clients that specifically want to live in an HOA because they travel a lot, they just want eyes in their home type of
yeah,
thing. And I get that, but I'm with you. I was looking at some townhomes in Delaware actually. 'Cause I got a dream, right? And the prices actually were okay. They were a little too high, but they were okay. It was a house I really, really liked. But then those
yeah.
HOA fees on a townhouse, and there was only
Mm,
like 6 of them, and they were so
mhm,
high, and I'm like, "If they're high now, like, what's gonna
mm.
happen next year and in 10 years and in 5 years?" Like, I said, "I don't like things that never go away."
Yep, that's it's
I like to know there's
it's
hope.
so true, it's so true.
B. Sherman, Hirschman. Sorry, see, here's where there I go again. Maybe I do have a little bit of dyslexia. It's certain words, it's not every word, so I don't know. Sorry. B. Hirschman, thank you. Why are rents decreasing in the DC area? Is it because of the election? It is because of crime.
Mm,
Sorry. I know as realtors we're not supposed to talk about that, but that's the truth.
ah, yeah.
It's because of
That's
crime.
so sad to hear that about DC. I had no idea that it was that bad. I thought, I'm living in my bubble, in the suburbs of New York City. I'm thinking, "No, New York City is horrible," and Philadelphia is in no great shape either. I had no idea DC
It's
was,
yeah.
in the same
Unfortunately, I
boat.
have a front row seat to it all, and
Ugh,
it's really it is a now mind you, DC, it's not everywhere in DC, not every neighborhood. I mean, I
yeah,
love DC, my dad lives in DC, like, I'm in DC all the
yeah,
time,
yep,
but if that's like, if that's I had to lower the rent 500, if that's a
mm,
short answer to your question, that would be my guess. I don't think it has to do with the election. I mean, election's gonna come and go when it comes to rent. You've got a year-long
mhm,
lease. Like, I don't think that that really has to do with it. I could be wrong, though. Like I said, this election is special. It's different. If people are really deciding whether they wanna live in DC or not based on who the incoming president is, I guess that could do something to the rent, but I think it's really
yep,
has to do with crime.
yep, yeah, that's a shame.
I'm looking at apartments in DC now, Sexter. Okay, I'm gonna get in trouble here. It's not every block
Yeah.
in DC. I'm sorry. I'm
You're
sorry,
fine.
DC.
No,
Oh,
but you're fine. But look, look, it's, I know we have to be careful what we say.
but and
Yeah.
by the way, I'm not telling you anything that you can't Google. I'm just saying that in general, it's been going up a bit. And in general, that's what the word on the street is that we're hearing, is that that's been a bit of a turnoff for DC. That doesn't mean
Mm,
it's going to be like that forever. And it doesn't mean it's going to be like that where you're looking in DC. So you got to do your own due diligence. You got to do your own research. I don't work in rentals. I'm going to put that up right now. So I can't really tell you about rents specifically. I only work in sales. But that's just in general what's been happening. All you have to do is turn on the news to see it. So I'm not saying anything that anybody doesn't know, but I don't
mhm.
want to turn people off of DC because I absolutely love this city. And like I said, my dad lives there. So
Yeah.
it's not all
Well,
bad.
if your dad lives there, then it's got to be fine,
Well, he would have left.
right?
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Media is more present. I can't read, Jackie. Media
Leave those glasses on, would you?
because then I don't know. Because then the blue light makes me crazy, the reflection. Media is more present in our 24-hour cycle, and crime is on CCTV, so it's more prevalent. See, here I go again.
Prevalent.
Thank you. More prevalent in the media. Thank you. But you see, it happens
Yeah.
to me a lot. It's my whole life. Like I said, it
Oh.
happens to my dad as well. So it's a
Oh,
little
you're fine.
embarrassing, but we move on. So media is more present in our 24-hour cycle, and crime is on CCTV is more prevalent in the media. And it might be actually down, but crime is more able to be broadcast. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
So we
Yep.
might just be hearing about it more because it is easy to broadcast, but it might actually
Yeah.
be down. So do your due diligence. Definitely.
Yep. Do your
Definitely.
homework.
Yeah. Do your homework. Exactly. By the wharf, I'm saying I love the wharf. So the wharf, I don't know. Jackie, when's the last time you were in DC?
Oh my God, years ago. I can't even remember. Maybe 15 years ago.
Oh, dude,
Yeah, it
you
was
got
a
to come
while.
down.
I know. I know.
Forget
I haven't
about
been here in a long
the
time.
crime stuff. That's over. I felt better.
I'd love to come down.
So the wharf is like a newer development. It's right on the water. Like people don't realize that DC's on, has a body of water there, the Potomac River. And it's really, really fun. So they just started building it up. And there's a lot of
Oh.
really cool restaurants and pubs. And there's a music venue. And they have like these big
Ooh.
swings and hammocks and fire pits. And it's really, really fun. We love going to the wharf.
Awesome. Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds great.
Yeah, it's another
Would
area,
love
like,
that.
Georgetown is still, like, a fan favorite, and I love Georgetown. It's also right on the water. You're looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I know Georgetown. No, I was actually in Georgetown. We were there 15 years ago. We went through Georgetown. It's very cool.
Yeah, it
Wharf
is.
is awesome. I'd like to go see the wharf now. Now I need to come
It
down
is.
there,
It
Caryn.
it is really, really cool. Okay, I can't alright, let's go to this one. Is Zillow rent estimates reliable? So, I don't know, Jackie, do you work in rentals? Do you do rentals at all?
Not really, not anymore. Yeah, I got out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't work in rentals, so I can't tell you about Zillow rent estimates. I can tell you that there's estimates for home values, in my experience, have not always been reliable.
No.
I know when I'm going to price one of my listings and I go there, and more often than not, the seller will be like, hey, well, Zillow says it's this. When I start to show them the comps and the real data, it's
Yeah.
usually not a reliable source, Zillow. It doesn't mean it's always wrong. It could be right sometimes, but reliable, I wouldn't count on it for sales. I don't really know about
Yeah.
rentals,
Yeah, I don't know
unfortunately.
about the rent either, but the Zillow, what I've learned, so this house I listed in my town, I had the same thing. My clients were like, "Oh, but this is what this estimate says." But when you look, if you dig deep and you'll see the other houses that they pulled in, the data, like the other houses of the solds,
Yeah.
they weren't even in the same town. They were like the next town over, next 2 towns over. It's like, that's why it's not accurate. You're not looking at, like, it's not going as local in the actual town. So when they saw that, like, the price was high, I'm like, "No, that's not right."
Not only that, but Zillow's never been in your house. They
Exactly.
don't
It's not in your
understand,
house. That's right. Yep.
school districts can bring different values to homes. If you're
Yep.
near a certain highway, it can bring different values to homes. If you're near a power line, like Zillow's never been in your house. They don't know what upgrades you've done. So, they don't know
Yep.
anything. So it's
Yep.
based on just data. Like you said, they just pull it from, and I don't really know how their algorithm works, but
Yep.
more often than not, it's not the most reliable source. So maybe it's the same for rents. I just don't know. I would, instead of looking at Zillow, I would just ask, if you're working with a real estate agent, ask them to go on to real data sites and pull real
Mhm.
comps about what's happening in that area as far as rentals. That's what I would do.
Yeah, that's good advice. Good
You know, do
advice.
do you ever look at the estimate of your own house? Have you done that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's like, "Mm, I don't know. I
It's
don't trust it. I don't trust it." I mean, it could be close, it depends on the day, where it's pulling the data from, but, yeah, I look at it, and my husband does it too. He's like, "Oh, did you see this?" I'm like, "Yes, no, don't rely on
for a
that. It's not
while,
true."
the estimates were really, really high, and then
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was when they bought Trulia or something. All of a sudden, they got really, really low. And
Mhm.
then somehow it must have, like, gone back to what it was, because I was like, it just changed so much. What was I
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
I do, and the estimates of my house seem high. Okay, so maybe they're high again. I haven't looked at mine in a while, but
Yeah, I haven't either. Yeah.
maybe I should. I think it just gives you this false sense of
Now I'm
security if
curious.
it's
I'm gonna
high.
pull it up. I'm gonna see what they say.
We
Um,
have, I
what
think
else we got?
Zillow's estimates for rent tend to be high. Okay.
Yeah.
So I
But
don't
listen,
know if you
y
work in the how if you work as I can't even speak now. Let's try again. I don't know if you work in the rental market or if you just are looking at your home or that you're renting compared to Zillow's estimates, but there's some information for you.
Mhm.
And we have B. Hirschman again. Planning. See, I'm going to squint. I'm just going to do it, Jackie. I'm going to read it without my glasses. Planning on doing an upgrade to my kitchen. Should I do granite or quartz? I like both granite and quartz depending on the color scheme you're going for. I know
Mhm.
quartz was really hot for a while, but there's some granites, like if you go to the higher levels, the level 5s and level 6, they are
Mhm.
so beautiful, the different colors and the different veins in them.
Yeah.
So, but it depends also how busy you want. Like if you just want like the white countertops, quartz is probably, a safe bet, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I
But
love quartz.
yeah,
Yeah.
but sometimes have you seen some of those granite slabs that when you get into the higher levels, they are
Yeah,
so beautiful. So I think
they
it
are.
depends. Yeah, I think it depends on your budget and the look you're going for.
So the quartz though, it's more porous than granite. You gotta be careful with that because if you get, like, the white quartz with the gray, it does stain. Just saying,
Really?
'cause I have yeah,
I thought
I
if it
have
was sealed, you're good to go.
even if it's you gotta be on top of sealing it, but, because we put quartz in our kid's bathroom and my
Mm.
daughter was coloring her hair and she
Oh
didn't put
no.
I know. I know.
Oh
Uh-huh.
no.
We had to sand that stain out of the countertop. Oh my god, I was so mad. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So,
Did you get
you
it out? Were
careful.
you able
Yeah,
to
we
get it
did,
out?
but you had to, like you literally had we had to sand it to get
Wow.
it out. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad, so
Yeah.
just those little piece of advice for you.
One of my favorite things is picking out, stone. I love it. Like, so a lot of times when
Mhm.
I'm fixing up my sellers' homes to list them, it's kinda like my wheelhouse. I love doing it, and if they let
Yeah.
me do what I want, to go to the different granite yards and I love it. I love looking at
Oh, that's
slabs of
fun.
stone and looking at the different veins in them and the different colors and, uh,
Yeah,
it's
fun.
yeah, it's my jam. I
Yeah.
rented my house out alright, sorry. I'm gonna get it wrong. I rented my house is this annoying? The glasses on and off? Probably is.
No, you're fine.
I'm annoying myself. I rented I rented my house out for 2950, even though Zillow's estimate was 3,200. I rented my house out for 20. So this is you are the owner?
So they're renting yes, I guess
Mhm.
they're the landlord. They're renting it out. They got 29.50 Zillow's at well, don't trust Zillow. I get like I just said before, they could not they could be looking in other surrounding towns, not your specific town. So you have to be careful with that. Don't get don't get distracted by that.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I agree, and also and Redfin as well. I mean, I will always look when I'm going to a listing appointment. I'll look at Zillow and Redfin because I know that a lot of times my clients are looking kind of to see what
Mhm.
their estimated value is. If they sold their house, and then I'll
Yep.
come with the real data. But I always like to see what other people are looking at because it gives you an idea of kind of where they're coming from.
Mhm.
But congratulations on renting
Yeah.
out your house. I mean, that's
Nice.
always good. I don't know where you live, but yeah, I've never ever in the 22 years I've been a realtor worked in the rental market. There's a lot more rules and a lot more regulations and rules, and I just never dipped in there. And so around here, you have to be rental certified to work in the rental market. And so once I just said
Oh,
no
yeah.
22 years ago, I just stayed out of it.
I forgot. Delaware's the same way because when we rented out our investment property or townhouse, the agent I was using, she couldn't do it because she's like, "Oh, I'm not certified to do rentals." I'm like, "What do you mean not certified to do? What the hell is that?" I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, you have to get certification." I'm like, "Oh, we don't have to do that up here. We can do whatever we want."
Yeah, no, you have to do it here too. I
Yeah.
I love Delaware. One time when you're in Bethany, if I'm in
Oh,
Rehoboth, we gotta see
oh,
each other.
we gotta plan that. Because every time I see you, like, over the summer, I think it was, I saw you post you're in Rehoboth. I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
I'm
I
gonna be in
know.
Bethany next week," like, we gotta plan that better next time for sure. Because
I
like, I
know.
totally wanna connect. That would be awesome. So many great places and to visit, like restaurants and bars and stuff. It's
Rehoboth is got I don't know Bethany. I've been there. I don't know like I know Rehoboth. I've been taking my family to Rehoboth for the last 20 years. And
really.
so yeah, so we have our favorite restaurants. The kids
Yeah.
would go to Funland when they're little. They even go now
Yep.
as adults.
Yeah.
But I don't have to go anymore. And like once we get there, we just, I park my car. I never get in it again. We just
Mhm.
walk everywhere. I mean,
Yep. It's
it's
awesome.
heaven. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, Rehoboth is great.
Do you
Uh,
recommend buying a home right now? Okay. So watch the replay. No, I'm kidding. So here's my take, and then Jackie, I want you to answer this as well.
sure.
So
Yep.
here's my take when people ask me if they should buy a home right now. If you know where you want to live and you have the money to do it and it's comfortable for you, meaning you have an emergency fund, you know that your credit's in the highest it's going to be, you're not getting yourself into trouble, and you know you're going to stay there, in my opinion, for at least 5 or really 7 years, I think it's a great time to buy. But
Yeah.
all those things have to make sense to you. If you're thinking I might leave in 3 years, or well, my credit's not that great, or I can wing it, it's a little more expensive than I want, but I can just wing it, then honestly my answer is no. It's not a good time for you to buy. It's all about you specifically and what your situation looks like, and also how long you're planning on being there. I've been in my house for 19 years, and it's
Yeah.
gone through I bought it at the end of 2005. It lost 20% of its value in 2008, and now it's 33% higher than it was 4 years ago. If you're gonna
Mhm.
stay for a long time and it's your home where you're gonna create memories, and I raised my kids here, there's nothing better, in my opinion. What about you, Jack?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. Say it totally like everything that you said, that's what you have to look at. You gotta look at your own personal situation and make sure you have especially the emergency fund. I've been stressing this so much lately because the stories that I'm reading, like I go on Reddit a lot and I'm reading stories of people who bought a house and within these last 4 years that are regretting it. Their taxes went up, the homeowners insurance went up, they weren't expecting it, and they can barely get by with making the mortgage payment and also maintenance on the house. That's why the emergency fund is so important because, I mean, you saw the other night somebody, on the live stream commented, in the famous words of Jackie Baker, it's Murphy's Law, something's gonna break after you close. Guaranteed. It just happens. You gotta be prepared for that. And the sad thing is people had FOMO 4 years ago when the rates were really low and they jumped in. They're like, "I'm gonna buy a house," and now they're struggling. And you don't wanna be in that position. That is, like, the worst feeling. So, it's like, yeah, not to be able to make that monthly payment, and then you have to deal with the maintenance on top of that. So, yeah, make sure your personal situation, you got all your ducks in a row, and it's the right time for you to buy. So,
And they followed up question with, did I put it on? Do you recommend oh gosh, Jackie.
putting 50
I mean, I'm annoying myself. I'm just gonna leave them
Oh,
on.
oh, you're fine. You're not annoying me. That's okay.
I apologize on behalf of my glasses. Do you recommend putting 50% or more down on a house? It all depends on your situation. You
Yeah.
know, the more you put down, the lower your mortgage is going to be, the lower your payments are going to be. But if you have 50%, you know, it just depends. You know, what else could you
Yeah.
be doing with that money?
Exactly. Right. Right. But be careful too, because some people they want to put all that money down, but then they're tying up all their cash, you
Right.
know? Like I have a buyer I'm working with right now. He can put a lot of money down, but he's like, no, I gotta save some I want to invest, which makes sense. You know, you don't want to tie up all your cash in a house. So go with what you're comfortable with. If you have it, great. If not, 20% is
Yeah.
the standard.
Yeah.
So if you have the 20%, that's fine. Don't drive yourself crazy to get to that 50% mark.
I
Yeah.
agree. I think that
Yeah, don't do
if
that.
that's something you just want to do because you want your monthly payments to be a certain amount and that's your financial situation and you're comfortable doing that, sure, why not? But as long
Yep.
as you're putting at least 20% down, you should be getting the best rate as long as everything else makes sense.
Mhm.
You know, he says,
Yep.
I'm from the school, the lower your mortgage payment, the safer it
Yep.
is.
Yep.
Like I said, what else could you be doing with that money? You
Right.
know, could you be investing it? Could you be putting it towards retirement? I don't know if you have kids, could you be putting it towards 529s? You just got to look at the whole picture, you know, but I think
Exactly.
the point is to get the best interest rate. And as long as you're putting at least 20% down and everything else works out, obviously speak to a mortgage lender because we are not mortgage lenders. Um,
Yes.
then I would think that the rest of that, it's just about what you want to do. And by the
Yep.
way, you can always put more money towards your principal. That's what
Mhm.
I do. When I refinanced in
Yep.
2021, I had a certain amount that I was paying every month. Well, I refinanced because mortgage rates went down so much, but I kept
Mhm.
my payment the same because I was already used to it. But I specifically allocated the difference between the new payment and the old payment towards principal. And if you do
Smart.
that, you have to specifically allocate it towards the principal. You can't just put it towards everything because it'll automatically go towards the interest.
Yep.
But if you do that, it will shorten the length of your loan a lot.
Yeah.
So,
That
you
was
know,
smart, Karen.
thank
Good
you.
job. Good
I've
job, Karen.
I've been around for a while. I got a couple more here. Okay. On the other hand, Zillow is a great place to list your house for rent. A lot of people use Zillow to find rental properties.
Yes.
Zillow can generate a lease. Oh, wow. Zillow can generate a lease?
Oh, yeah, they can. I actually I used Zillow when we were first renting our townhouse in Delaware. Um, yeah. Yeah, they do it all for you. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
So,
what do they just
yeah.
charge you a fee or something like that?
I think it's I forget how much it was. You have to I forget, it was like a monthly fee or you pay upfront for like 3 months or something like that. And then, yeah, they'll create the lease for you. They'll do all of that. I mean, that was a pretty cool thing. But, the thing is, you do get inundated with leads if you're putting it on Zillow for rent. So just, you gotta
And
be
do
aware
they
of
how do
that.
they I mean, I don't work in rentals. How do they vet them? Like, do they check their
So they you can do I think they'll do a background check for you. Um,
wow.
yeah, because what ended up we put it out on Zillow. We got the first person that reached out to us. I mean, they of course they ended up moving out 2 months later because it was the most bizarre situation. That's a story for another day. But anyway, they continued to pay the rent until I re-rented it to someone else, which is very nice of them. Um, but I don't recall if I did I think I used another system, to do the background check, but I think Zillow can do that. They'll do a background and credit check for you. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty
Very
cool.
nice. I
Yeah.
learned something new.
See, look at
House
that.
poor, terrible. Yes, house poor is
Uh,
no bueno.
House poor is a very bad situation. We don't want anybody to be there.
And we got our
So,
buddy Palm Beach Paul. Hello, ladies.
Paul, what's up, Paul? Hope you had a
Paul,
good live stream.
yeah, right. I mean,
Yeah.
he was on here last Wednesday, and we had a lot of fun. It was
Yeah.
talking about
Love
Florida.
Paul. Paul's a good guy.
Um, all right. Can you comment on the recent commission changes? Has it affected you? If so, how? Oof,
You got
that's a
some
big one.
good questions. Oh my god. This is good.
Um, so I can tell you so far in my area, you know, in the DMV, DC, and right outside, and this sorry, the glasses are off again. They're driving me nuts. It hasn't really affected us yet so far in my experience. It's not going to be this way with everyone. Sellers are still cooperating with buyer brokers. It's only been a couple months though, but so far I haven't really seen it affect our business here where I am. Have you seen it affect yours, Jackie?
Nope, has not affected. People sellers are still offering, buyer agent compensation. It really hasn't had that much of an impact. So it's still business as usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We're all freaked out about it, and I'm surprised. It's still yeah, so not much has changed.
I mean,
So
the big difference is that now the buyer's broker, their compensation has to be part of the contract. So it's a negotiable, it's always negotiable, but it has to be negotiated
yes,
as one of the terms in the contract. So what
yep,
I'm telling my sellers, like I met with sellers today, was they're asking me, what should we do? I said, well, if you want your house to be marketable to the most people possible, then you should offer to cooperate with the buyer's agent because a lot of
yeah,
buyers can't afford to pay their agents.
yep,
Like, well, do we have to say that up front? I said, no, it's all in the contract. So you can certainly, allow me to tell buyer's agents that they are open to cooperating, but we'll wait and see what the offer is and all the terms, and then we'll respond accordingly. So
okay.
far, yeah, it hasn't really changed anything.
Yeah, it hasn't changed, right? Yeah, nothing's changed. I feel like it's still the same, except we just have more paperwork. That's it. You know,
Also, if you survive, wow, you did it by
you
yourself.
survived. Good for you, Paul. Oh my gosh,
I mean, I
that's
got
not
Jackie
easy.
with me. I'm
Yeah,
lucky.
that's
All
not
right.
easy to do. So that's good.
My home is one of my investments.
Yes, it is.
I think it's always one of our investments, but it's also a place where like we live and like we raise our
Yeah.
families and we have holidays and dinners and it's like it's more than just an investment, but it is for sure usually the biggest investment that people have.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Watching at 6.99. It sounds pretty good actually.
Okay.
Um, from
All
what I've been
right.
seeing.
Yeah,
All right,
that's not bad.
we have one more. Yes, you can do background and credit checks too.
Would you
Okay,
Yep.
well,
All
I
right.
learned about a little bit
See?
about rentals.
You learn something new every day.
Jackie, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for
Um,
having me. This is awesome.
I could talk to you forever, and I do talk
Same.
to you all the time anyway.
And
So
that's okay. It's a great conversation always, so,
I know.
yeah.
Well, I think we both have a similar sense of humor. I'll
Mhm.
I'll end with this. When I was in Rehoboth last summer, I was walking my brother's little Frenchie, and the little bugger walked in front of me, and I tripped over her leash
Oh,
and face planted. And the next day, I had a call with Jackie, and she was like, "You sound funny." So I switched it to FaceTime. I look like I've been beaten up.
oh,
I'm like, "You're like, what happened?" And I
uh,
was so
oh, I
funny.
felt so bad for you. Oh my
It
gosh,
was
that looks so painful. Oh,
awful. I looked like
oh,
literally my whole face was a bloody mess, but
oh, I'm glad well, look, you can't tell now. Look at you.
thank you, ladies. It's awesome. Well, thank you guys
Oh,
for tuning
thanks
in.
for being here.
If you
Awesome.
you both are looking at Delaware. If you guys are watching this on the replay, I appreciate you watching it. If you have any questions for Jackie or myself, just put it in the comments and we'll get back to you. And if you have been watching this live and you've just been watching on the sidelines, thank you so much for joining us and for watching it. And please come back next week. Jackie Baker, you are a gem. I adore you. I am
Oh,
so happy that you came on
same.
tonight. And
Thanks for having me.
I'll probably talk to you tomorrow.
Probably. Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great, great
Bye.
night. Bye.